Shalom, all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Ha-Rakah, Kadash, double honors unto the apostles and the elders of the great millstone who rule well, and shalom to the hopeful elect. This is a prophecy and news, come back at you again. Right, we've got an article from Sky News, I'm just going to get right into it. The title reads, Doomsday Clock hits 100 seconds to midnight, closest to catastrophe ever. Scientists have said the doomsday clock, a metaphor for global apocalypse, or at the end of times basically, has moved, or really and truly, yet the return of the one the world calls Jesus Christ, who according to the Bible was a so-called black man, and his name is Yahweh Shai, alright, has moved closer to midnight than ever before. Humankind, like Cinderella, has only until midnight, but the strike of the doomsday clock will bring far more serious repercussions than those facing the Disney princess. Scientists have said the doomsday clock, a metaphor for the global apocalypse, has moved closer to midnight than ever before. It's now just 100 seconds away. The countdown was set up in 1947 by the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, which was working on the Manhattan Project to design and build the first atomic bomb. Right? So, funnily enough, when they actually made, as it tells you in Isaiah 54 and 16, the smith that love call the coals bring forth the waster to destroy. Basically, these scientists, when they actually did that, the Lord had the Spirit put on them that they actually come up with a countdown to the end, basically, as well. All right, so within their spirit, they knew that they made something that would bring about the end of times, basically, or the end of their rulership. So that shows you that's crazy how the Spirit works, man. All right. It was originally intended to warn of the threat of nuclear Armageddon, but also considered other emerging threats like climate change, biotechnology, and artificial intelligence. All right. So they basically it's a general summary. You know, putting all these different things, like I said, climate change, quote unquote, let's say environmental changes, advancements in technologies and biotechnology, bio meaning body, bodily technologies, artificial intelligence meaning robots. So they consider all of these things and say, okay, how close are we to the end? All right. So we're like a minute and a half. Sorry, not a minute and a half, like a minute and 40 seconds or so. Anyway, the announcement from the clock's keepers means the perceived threat is now more severe than it was last year, and in 1953 it was 2 minutes away. Alright, so we're moving closer, alright, because it's closer than it was last year. Alright, in 2019, we've entered the year of prophecy 2020, and now we're moving closer to the end. And in 1953, when it was 2 minutes away, President and Chief Executive of the Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists, Rachel Bronson, said the world has entered into the realm of a 2-minute warning with high danger and little room for error. We are now expressing how close the world is to catastrophe in seconds. And it just hit me in the spirit that when it says biotechnology, it's funny because what's the greatest, the most of it, when it comes to the main prophecies that the Lord outlined that will bring about the end, the key prophecies being the RFID chip, which is known as the mark of the beast. Basically, the mark of the beast is the RFID chip. Okay, when that's basically administered, all bets are off. Basically, Esau's ain't like it's going. Boy, World War III is imminent. Basically, so it's the RFID chip, World War III. Then after that, in the midst of World War III, is basically the return of Yahweh Shai. So those three main prophecies are basically, you know, the last major three prophecies, the major ones that we're waiting for, okay? And those are factored into the first two are factored into the doomsday clock, man. So that shows you how much weight this doomsday clock actually holds, okay, in terms of biblical prophecy. That's why, and again, they made it when they made the atomic bomb, when they're working on the Manhattan Project to build the first atomic bomb. And in Isaiah 54:16, which I might have to just grab quickly to read a young little precept. All right. So this is Isaiah 54:16, and it reads, "Behold, I have created the smith." Okay, Manhattan Project. A smith. What did a smith do in ancient times? A smith, you had coppersmith, goldsmith, silversmith, but then you also had blacksmiths. Right, blacksmiths were, when it came to the king or whoever had dominion over their domain, they basically had, when it come to warfare, they relied heavily on their blacksmith, who was a forger of weaponry. Okay, so it says, "Behold, I have created." So this is the Most High saying He's created a blacksmith that bloweth the coals in the fire and bringeth forth an instrument, all right, for His work. Okay, so obviously they bring forth swords, spears, arrow tips, all these different things, but this is a totally different form of smith that is made to bring forth this instrument, because he's talking about the atomic scientists dealing with the Manhattan Project, and I've created the waster to destroy it. That's the ICBM, all right, because ultimately the atomic bomb was the groundwork for what, for the ICBM missiles, for this destruction and that prophecy to come forth. And that's why it's heavy that the doomsday clock is tied to the destruction, okay, dealing with World War III, as it tells you in Isaiah 9, that this war shall be basically done with fire and blood. I'm loosely paraphrasing. This is going to be a different kind of warfare, and also what the factors that factor into the doomsday clock, alongside with the missile, the atomic bomb, which ultimately has advanced to the ICBMs, is going to be biotechnology, being an RFID chip, and environmental and other things of that nature. But the main two is World War III and an RFID chip, okay, according to biblical prophecy, which is, if you have the spirit to believe it, it's the truth, all right? These are the things that are going to happen, all right? So reading on, we are now expressing how close the world is to catastrophe in seconds, not hours or even minutes, all right? So we're talking about seconds now. It's a countdown. It's the closest to doomsday we have ever been in the history of the doomsday clock. We now face a true emergency, and this is Trump is pumping it, pumping it up. Trump is trumping it up, man. All right, he's trumped up destruction during his tenure, or his rulership, his rule as the president of the United States of America, Babylon the Great, according to the Bible, the daughter of Babylon. All right, spiritually Sodom and Egypt. We now face a true emergency and an absolute unacceptable state of world affairs that has eliminated any margin for error or further delay. Yeah, dealing with the thing that happened down with Iran, right? That's a big deal as well, right? That's created a heap of tension. A statement from the Bulletin, a non-profit organization run by some of the world's most eminent scientists, said humanity continues to face the two simultaneous existential dangers of nuclear war and climate change, compounded by a threat multiplier, cyber-enabled information warfare. So that cyber-enabled warfare really leads into the RFID chip, all right? That undercuts society's ability to respond. The international security situation is dire. Now, just because these threats exist, but not just because these threats exist, but because world leaders have allowed the international political infrastructure for managing them to erode. All right, so that's the Lord basically breaking down his society to make, and really that's because America kept everyone in check. Why? Because they had the military might. But now, as it tells you in Joel, the 3rd chapter, that these other nations now they're forming a form of strength, right, in ICBMs as well, to combat against, to be a threat, a worthy opponent, alongside being proxies of Russia, all right, and China, to be a worthy threat onto America. Former President of Ireland, Mary Robertson, described the announcement as a solemn occasion. We ask world leaders to join us in 2020 as we work. And you see the turn of the decade, this year, 2020 year prophecy, as we work to pull humanity back from the brink, right? And ain't no pulling back, all right? It's going forward. The chairman of the elders of the former UN High Commissioner for Human Rights said the doomsday clock now stands at 100 seconds to midnight, the most dangerous situation humanity has ever faced. Now's the time to come together and unite and act. Yeah, you're going to unite and act and try to act against Yahweh Shai. That's the only time it's going to happen, man. But this is the breakdown of society, all right? If Satan be divided against Satan, how shall he stand? And he ain't going to be able to stand, all right? Because America is going to be destroyed, as it says, according to the Bible, all right? By the ICBMs of England. It's countries that were once the UK, the European Union, basically, and all these other nations that have their part to play as well. While the clock did not move in 2019, its minute hand was set forward in 2018 by 30 seconds to 2 minutes before midnight. All right, it was adjusted in 2017 to 2.5 minutes to midnight from its previous setting of 3 minutes at midnight. So you see, through the decade of the tens, okay, the 10Ts or however they would like to name it, there's been a progression of time cutting down. All right, so we know. I'm gonna read this and close this lesson. All right. So it's Revelations 12:12. All right. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath. Who's the devil? The Bible, if you understand, it tells you that the devil, in the book of Revelations, tells you the devil should be loose for a season after being locked up for 1,000 years. And that's dealing with Esau Edom, the red Hebrew Edomite, or as he has entitled himself in these latter days, the so-called white man. All right, he's a devil, and he's going to come down with great wrath. Come down, right, saying having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. All right, because the Most High said that least the days be short and there'll be no flesh saves. So the Most High is cutting down his period of rulership to bring forth the judgment to save his elect. That's the only reason why. That's why I say, rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them, and woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, because really the woe is for the people that is for the people that are not of the elect. Okay, and this is imminent, man. As we see, there's been a progression through the past decade to get